Downs Gaming and Hotel, we work extremely hard to make your experience here convenient, safe, and fun.
I love Batavia Downs Gaming.
We love it!
I love Batavia Downs Gaming.
We don't just like Batavia Downs Gaming, we love Batavia Downs Gaming.
Batavia Downs Gaming, Hotel, and Racetrack. We not only want you to like coming here, we want you to love coming here.
Folks, welcome back to the show where it is not about next week's trailer. It is not about this week's review. It is about next week's episode here on What's Trainwreck Watching. Myself and the Micah Man are in the saddle, and as you get ready for a Valentine's Day weekend, we tell you whether Captain America Brave New World is worth falling in love with. So, Micah, we're back in the saddle, and we got Captain America back on the big screen after what feels like forever.
18 months since the last Marvel movie, which is like 10 years, and the pace the MCU was going. So there was a lot. You know, I went into this movie with I wanted to go in no expectations, just excited to go back, revisit the Marvel universe, see what they were cooking up, have a good time at the theater. So yeah, it's great to be back. It's a big year for comic book movies, a big inflection point in the industry, and this was kicking it off. So I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts about this movie and the overall state of the comic universe we're in. But yeah, man, happy to be here. Happy to be back.
18 months since a Marvel movie. I mean, obviously Deadpool and Wolverine is kind of an outlier because it's like they're still in their own universe at this point. But with that said, yeah, crazy that it was that long. Then I think Civil War came out in 2016, right? So this is almost 10 years between Captain America movies, which is crazy as well. And we have a new Captain America on screen in the form of Anthony Mackie, aka Sam Wilson. So we'll get right to kind of the ending, not of the movie, but for us, Micah, how'd you feel leaving the theater? Obviously, we discussed it. It's been discussed at length. There was a lot of hoopla, a lot of negativity surrounding this movie, reshoots, budget overdrawn, anything. What was your thoughts leaving the theater?
All right. So like going into this movie, you know, I try to stay away from as much of chatter and reviews and everything as I can, but there's been a lot of chatter about this movie for like the year leading up to it with the reshoots and everything, just more awareness of those going on. And just some right away when the reviews came out, it was like instant negativity. And you're like, all right, like this could be one of two things. This movie could actually be like one of the worst Marvel movies or movies that, you know, big time movies, blockbusters that you could go see, or a trend that I think is developing here in Hollywood is a lot of these critics are just tired of revisiting the Marvel universe. They're tired of the as you said, the episodic nature of this kind of whole ordeal. And so I think that's where a lot of it comes in, because me leaving the theater, I was like, that's exactly what I wanted and expected. Didn't need to be earth shattering, which I think is the biggest thing for Marvel fans. Like they're just so used to the big stakes and everything. This movie had serious stakes. Obviously, they tried to sell serious stakes, but it was a fun action movie, solid double. I would say, maybe if you want to say single, that's fine. But I don't think this was a swing and a miss with them. I think they got a good solid movie out of this, and we knew this was going to be the one with the least stakes going into the season, or this year and this season of Marvel movies. So leaving the theater pleasantly surprised and was happy with the experience. I understand some of the critiques that I'm sure we're going to get into along the way, story and everything else wise. But for what was being said, I was happy with what I walked out of with.
Yeah, there were spots that were sketchy. Like I may not have touched my appetizer, and, you know, maybe I didn't eat my whole dessert. But overall, I was okay with the experience. I think that this movie is closer to Infinity Saga MCU than it is to post-Infinity Saga MCU. Now, is that because they're playing on Captain America and all that angle, and it's kind of like I want it to be? Who knows? Maybe we'll see. But at the end of the day, leaving the theater, like this felt like more of an Infinity Saga. Like this movie felt like it touched other things outside, you know, just its movie, which was a common theme with the Infinity Saga. There was so much world building. There was so much craziness. But leaving the theater pleasantly surprised. Now, there were some moments that, you know, stuck out to me. So since we kind of mentioned the background noise already, and since we're kind of, you know, I think we're both relatively in the green positive side of review for this movie.
Yeah.
Let's start with just the bad to me. So first off, you had the background noise around this movie going in, the reshoots. Our guy Seth Rollins was supposed to be in it. I watched the movie now. Like, how bad could Seth Rollins have been in this movie? Seth
couldn't have gotten that fight. The big fight at the beginning, that couldn't have been Seth Rollins coming in with a super kick or something.
Exactly. Dude, the only thing I'm thinking is that like he was so over the top with his like visionary, revolutionary like shtick that they didn't like the way it resonated with the audience. Because I'm like, how is the Serpent Society not like shown at full strength in these battles? Like, that's the whole point in the comics. It's not supposed to be just one guy and a couple of hired guns or whatever.
But you know what's funny? So like this movie started out like the working title was Captain America Serpent Society. And obviously the story and a lot of things have changed, whether that is because it's anything to do with this movie's fault or the larger Marvel universe having the issues they've had, you know, Jonathan Majors, all the different things going on there where they had to kind of adjust.
I'm just gonna keep sharing some tweets up here on the side as well, so you can see some other people.
That's just.
By the way, I know this is obvious so far, but for at least the first 90% of this, we're gonna be spoiler free for the most part. But if we do get any spoilers, we'll mention them.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought here though, because this is kind of funny. I do see the I do see what they're going with. I see like the sets, the things like that. The Serpent Society was the original idea for this movie. They reshoot, they redesign where they're going with for whatever it is, and that's one of the things you can see is like that the Serpent Society is supposed to be a group of like unknown like ninjas basically type of thing, and then in this movie they kind of just have like one guy as the head of it, and he's like the serpent that we're dealing with here. And those are some of the scenes where the editing is very obvious that they just got our boy Giancarlo in for like 2 days of filming, and we're like, let's get him on the screen with Anthony as much as we can and then get him out of here, because it was just weird. Like, it made sense. Like they were able to make enough sense of a lot of the reshoot stuff, but you could just tell where the things
I don't know if you noticed it, but when he so this is kind of a semi spoiler, you know, Brayson, when he is in the underground bunker talking to his White House liaison friend, you can blatantly tell that what he's saying in the audio was not like what his body was moving, because they have a behind shot of Anthony Mackie and like he's moving at length and it's like a very quick like phrase or something he says. So some of the reshoots are very obvious. Some of them are very janky, and it's unfortunate. Obviously, you know, you hope you're putting $100 million, things like that aren't obvious. From a storytelling standpoint and the character connection standpoint, I thought it was decent. You know, if we look at it from that aspect. Now, again, you go to a Marvel movie for what? The storytelling, the connections between the characters, and the comic book action. The only thing with the action that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't know how you felt about it, I didn't think the CGI or whatever was too bad. I saw some people hating on that. It was more the hand-to-hand stuff looked a little stale, I guess I would say, compared with the Chris Evans and just what we've grown used to in Hollywood. It just looked very, you know, stiff when they were moving. What did you think about the action throughout the film?
Yeah, it didn't look the cleanest. And I think that's been honestly, I think that's been a fair criticism of the Marvel universe for its entire existence. When they're not using CGI and it's not the super powered fight scenes, they have not been able to put together a lot of compelling like hand-to-hand combat scenes. Or there's just like things like this. And this movie did not have that strength there. And it's also just a weird, like with Sam Wilson being Captain America, and it's a thread throughout this of him not having the super soldier serum and everything like that. You can only really do so much. Like, that's why, like, I appreciate the angle they went with his Captain America for his first movie ever, because it had to be more like spy, political, like things are out of his control. He can only do so much because this guy, like, he doesn't have the capacity to like save the world on his own, but he can do a little bit here and there, and clearly everything he did had a big difference in the end. Like, I think the Sam Wilson arc was great in this. It's just like, yeah, like the superpower, the lack of superpower is very evident, and they try to make it a theme and play into it, but I think it just ultimately it's not his fault, but comparison's always going to come up with the other movies and like the kind of fight style that Captain America had. And even if comic fans want to really complain about it, even the fight style that like Winter Soldier has had, if they would have just picked him to be Captain America instead of Falcon in that inflection point there too. So, but I thought he did a great job, honestly, with what he could do.
Yeah. Oh, from the material, this was definitely a great, like if you want to, kind of move it into a vertical, this was a great Sam Wilson Captain America movie. There's a lot of development, a lot of not inner turmoil, but you're seeing a follow through on the stuff that, from the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, it hasn't all just been smooth sailing as he became like the new Captain America or whatever. There's been, footholds, everything like that. I will say minor spoiler here, but there's a great scene in the middle of probably the end of the second act where he kind of meets up with Bucky, and they have a heart to heart. Probably, arguably the best scene in the movie to me when I look back at it. Actually, just given the implications and the continuity, it made me feel like we were back in what was it, fucking phase 3? But
pop up, yeah.
Yeah, so that was good, and again, there is a lot of good in this movie, and there's a lot of good for making Sam Wilson the new Captain America. Again, that's the question. Like, Christopher, if you're a guy, this would be my take. If you enjoyed Infinity Saga MCU in the theaters, then I think you should go see this in the theaters. If you kind of have fallen off a cliff about it post Infinity Saga, see, I'm somewhere in between, so I liked seeing it in theaters. I saw it in IMAX. But I would say if you've completely fallen off a cliff from MCU, then maybe you don't need to see it in theaters, Micah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think this is the movie that is going to honestly play great on like Disney Plus in a couple months and everything. Like I was thinking about that during the movie. Like, I will enjoy rewatching this movie, which I think is a good litmus test for these Marvel movies now at this point, because I think it's worth it to go see, because this is not Eternals, this is not Love and Thunder, this is not like a huge miss. And there are things that are messy with this movie.
Yeah.
But this is not just a complete, like, we have to just move off of this movie and forget it ever existed type thing. Like, and there's a lot of good building points. Like, there's very important stuff that happens in this movie towards the future of the Marvel Universe too. So
exactly.
We're going full speed ahead now.
That's what we're talking. So again, where this movie falls short in the editing and where it falls short in some of the action sequences, to me, they got back to the core of it, which is not telling jokes every 10 seconds, but also having
there were like
humor
no joke. Like, it was
there
just
was some. It was a thriller. But yeah, like for example, like Sam Wilson is not a better Captain America than obviously Steve Rogers, but he's much better at breaking the fourth wall and having like a moment with like the crowd for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, like as far as the Marvel aspect of it, this was a win. Again, making Sam Wilson his own Captain America, Marvel world building. So we get this entire movie essentially is about, I don't think it's really a spoiler because it's from the very beginning, is about the celestial island in the middle of the Pacific, which happened in the Eternals, something that hasn't been addressed in any other movie, Micah, but basically ends up being a focal point of this one. So very interesting to see how they've gotten back to that focus of, talking about other movies and kind of focusing on stuff happening throughout.
Yeah, and I mean, this movie, that's why this movie, like, it wasn't set up to be a knockout of the park home run hit, because they had to tie up a lot of loose ends. Like, they had to tie up the Eternals thing, that like this Celestial is just sitting there, and what are we going to do with this big thing? Like, what can we center around this? They had to tie up the loose ends of Falcon and Winter Soldier and talk about Falcon's journey to becoming Captain America and what his role in this new phase of the MCU is going to be, because obviously he's going to be a vital part. We knew that before this movie even happened. There's just a lot of, and then going back to the Hulk, like a lot of Incredible Hulk lore, which is not a movie that people think about, but this is like, this is more of a Hulk sequel than
let's get into it. From this point on, it'll be relatively there will be spoilers. Again, I don't think there will be anything that be like, oh, I found that out and now I'm not going to go see the movie. I don't think there'll be anything like that, but there will be spoilers as we discussed throughout. And you said it yourself, and I've heard it from other reviewers, this might as well be the Incredible Hulk 2, San the Incredible Hulk, essentially, because every storyline from the end of that movie, which was almost 20 years ago, is followed up on and delivered in this movie.
Yeah, it's why was they couldn't get Mark Ruffalo in here? We couldn't get Bruce like on a phone. We couldn't once he found out we were talking about Gamma, we couldn't get like FaceTime between Sam and Bruce? Something? Is he off the grid? Where is Bruce Banner at
I
the
mean,
moment?
Hulk likes to do like Hulk's
Is he
in his
Smart
like
Hulk?
he's in
What's
his
going on
complete
with it?
yeah, he's in his go missing phase for sure. Yeah, and you just looking at this movie, I mean, again, the threads of it, and let's get into this kind of topic.
Oh wait, where are they? Aren't the Hulks? Aren't they actually gone? Isn't he off flying somewhere?
He's
at
on
the
like
end of She-Hulk?
Sakaar, isn't he? At
Yes,
Sakaar?
yes. He took some shit somewhere at the end of She-Hulk and is long gone. So yeah,
He did do something. He did do something for sure. So this is a point I want to make as we get into the spoilers of the movie. This movie, Captain America: Brave New World, is not a home run. But I would say that like Thor, Love and Thunder was a strikeout. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was a strikeout or a ground out or so, you got an out or whatever. I would say this movie is a seeing eye single, Micah. It's not anything to write home about. It's kind of a slump buster. Like Marvel's been kind of in the dirt a little bit. Again, this movie isn't astounding. It's not a home run. Like Captain America, and the first Avenger, literally home run. Captain America Winter Soldier, home run. Captain America Civil War, home run. We're 3 for 3 with 3 home runs. This isn't a home run, but this is a seeing eye single to get Marvel, out of that slump, I think.
You're right. They're like 5 innings into this new phase, and it's like one hit, like nothing going on. They just needed somebody to get something rolling. Like they needed the boys to get fired up on the side, like get the chance going, get it rolling. And I agree. I think that that's perfectly said about what this movie is. It is a plus though. It's not a miss. Like I don't agree with any sentiment that this movie is a miss, that it was horrible, that it was all these other things. I just think the expectations and the fatigue is real from Hollywood with going and having to critique these movies and them having to write and sit in podcasts about the same issues that creep up in all these movies because it's just the format of them. So I think everybody, including myself, has to take that with a grain of salt when the hype starts to come out around these movies, that there's always going to be a negative sentiment going forward until they like prove everybody wrong again. But if you're looking at this movie as this was the one they were trying to just push out, get it done. They knew they needed to put it out. And now we're moving into...
This movie was almost like their medicine. They had to take their medicine to kind of move on and get everything else rolling. Again, is it sad that that's the state of the MCU, where Captain America movie is essentially medicine, like a necessary evil? Yes, but at the end of the day, I think we both agree, this was a seeing eye single and pretty quality. And speaking of pretty quality, Micah, as we get into spoilers here, the entire movie, Harrison Ford is just as much of a main character as Anthony Mackie. I guess that shouldn't be a surprise that Harrison Ford, is coming into a role and he's going to be, a primary character in the movie. But I would say he has just as much screen time and just as much kind of exposure as far as his character. What'd you think of him as Thaddeus Ross and eventually, and I'm sorry if you don't know this yet, the Red Hulk?
Yeah, I don't know if you
don't know that, then I don't know what the hell you're doing watching this show.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm interested to see, like, I know that when somebody does the screen time splits of the movie and everything, to see what he ends up as, because it'll probably be like, because Anthony Mackie's the lead, so I'm sure it'll be like a hair under him, but I wonder how much the difference actually is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it is pretty even, but yeah, Harrison Ford I thought was pretty solid. It wasn't this. The thing is, it's just so like William Hurt like felt like Thaddeus Ross to be like R.I.P. Like it was just like it's such a hard role for him to step into when we've had so much familiarity with the character and everything going forward, and it's just a new position. Like being in the presidency is always a weird thing in movies. Like I don't know. Like presidents are hard to pull off in movies. I think if you can do it, it's skillfully done. And obviously we know Harrison Ford's history being the president in movies. Like they're tongue-in-cheek with some of this stuff some of the time. So I thought he did pretty good, but there was like, there were a couple scenes with him and Sam specifically where you could tell the reshoot stuff was like he got the first war room scene where Sam busts into the war room.
Spoiler, but yes, go on.
Yes, the first war room scene where Sam is angry after the incident at the White House and everything. That conversation was like going really normal. And then all of a sudden, Harrison Ford just like went off the handle. And
Harrison Ford literally leans forward and he's like, or else I'll put a stop to it, or whatever, like out of fucking nowhere.
Why did he get mad? I looked at my buddy. I was like, wait, why did he just switch up so quick?
Bro, he switched and again, it made no fucking sense in the juxtaposition of the scene, because literally, and this is a spoiler, Captain America basically trespasses into the president's bunker, runs in so fast, grabs the key card, runs into the bunker so quick that nobody can stop him. And instead of being alarmed, Harrison Ford is like, give us the room, all of you out. So he's literally rolling out the red carpet. They have a normal conversation, and then out of nowhere, I forget what the line is, but you hit the nail on the head. Just absolute vitriol and disgust coming from Harrison Ford. And I'm like, what the fuck? Again, there were just some moments where the edits really stuck out. That probably kept this movie from being a B, Micah.
And I guess that's probably we're supposed to think that's the anger starting up and see those signs, but it's just so out of nowhere. Just start the conversation off tense. Don't make them seem like they're buddy. Have him just get angrier and angrier. It was such a weird. So there were just some weird interactions that way, and I don't know. Do you think he just didn't want to be spoilers? Spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Do you think he just was like, I'm not being that fucking guy for most of this movie, bro? I will do it for 15 minutes tops. And they're like,
yeah,
okay,
I think that there were probably a couple clips where they just got it and they're like, all right, great, Harrison. Got it done for sure. I mean, again, I don't think he nailed it. He did a decent performance as far as the character.
Red Hulk kind of just a red herring to the whole movie.
Yes,
even
the whole movie was a build up, and just to be clear, they had shown you the Red Hulk scene so much in the trailers that you knew that there were cherry blossoms around.
Yes.
And you knew that they were on the ground and everything was surrounded by fire at a point. So when there's a tease that he's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and he's literally about to become, again, we're talking spoilers here, we've warned you. He's on the ship, in that back hallway, and he's about to go. I wasn't worried for a second. I get it. I get that they wanted you to be, but wasn't worried for a second. So again, this movie kind of did it to itself. The edits, little thing. I would have really been interested to see what the Rollins the Rollins what
was the original idea? Cut. Yeah, the Rollins cut. What was the original idea for this movie in the grand scheme of the MCU? Because I feel like they had to just make it matter somehow, and just we're okay, let's pull all this Hulk stuff into it that we can tie
let's get we got Harrison Ford. Let's make Red Hulk the big thing for sure. By the way, so Sam Wilson has a liaison at the White House who's his connection that never got explained, or did I miss something?
I think that's that Taylor girl who was the aide. We're just supposed to assume that they're buddies when he walks in and talks to her, which is, I think, when you see the movie, very lazy plot.
Yeah, again, this was a Captain America movie, but I feel like it just barely qualified. Like I said, seeing eye single. So yeah, Harris Ford again, acting wise doesn't really mail it in, but they kind of did some weird stuff with the Red Hulk and the character and everything like that. Family very important, but then he has the Secret Service lead agent Betsetter or whatever. What was her last name? It was a crazy last name.
Ruth, she's an actual character apparently, which I did not know. It's Ruth Beretsa or something. Yeah, I don't even know, man. I'm gonna butcher this. Captain America. Ruth Bat Saraf, who is Sabra in the comic books.
Yeah, they were pronouncing it all different or whatever. So Bat Saraf or whatever. Yeah, I would have had no idea if you could have given me $1 billion to spell her last name. I would never ever have came up with Bat Saraf, for sure. But yeah, interesting character. I don't know. There were just so many weird scenes, and then they're in the prison and they're busting out and they're at Echo Camp 1 or whatever, where we finally figure out the big bad of the movie, which was kind of interesting, but also fell a little flat. It took too long. It took too long for this to happen.
Yeah, it did. And it again, it was tying up all these loose ends where they teased this guy 17 years ago. They brought him in. They were like, okay, we can make something happen. You know what? I know what my biggest issue with this movie is that a lot of the villain scheme was kind of just Civil War all over again. It was just
it definitely was. That makes total sense. You're right.
It was just like, I'm going to use some kind of device to pit two different superpowers against each other. In this scenario, it's two countries rather than superheroes or the Avengers or anything. And I'm going to coerce them the whole way through to get what I want, and it's to take down this one guy. And that is basically the same formula as Baron Zemo. You could say both of them had a decent amount of success. Honestly, I'd say that Samuel Stearns here he won. I think he did what he wanted to do.
Yeah, Samuel Stearns got mission accomplished for sure. I had no idea that I completely forgot until the moment I was seeing the pictures on the wall when they were in the laboratory, and I'm like, holy shit, are they bringing back Sam Stearns? And it was literally at that moment he revealed himself. So I had like 2 seconds where I figured it out. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like, you could have done this earlier. Like, you know, this reminds me of when like someone does it, like goes away and like doesn't come back to like wrestling for a while or whatever, you know, like, you know, like that, like it just took too long.
Like JBL right now.
It got a little stale. Yes, exactly. Like we need this like sooner, and we need it in WWE, but yeah. So again, great like character. And the only other thing that bothers me, I'm totally buying into the storyline. Like, you know, it makes total sense. Helped Ross behind the scenes, decisions, etc. Again, they don't ever point out any specific decision or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just like he doesn't do anything specifically. Again, spoiler coming up here. There's like no scene where he's like, oh, this is such a smart guy. He's just like, oh, I've already done the calculations. Like, I've already done there was 87%. That's the only time it shows that he was smart. He never like does anything smart in any situation. So again, like we are saying a lot of negative things. Obviously, we both like liked it at the end, but again, like they really like toned down anything you could love or anything you could really get behind.
Yeah.
You know,
because it was too much. There were too many moving pieces, and they said this movie's going to be 2 hours. Like, we're not making it through this. Like it could have been a 3-hour movie if they wanted to, but they just there's no way.
They really did Civil War it up with the villains. With Sidewinder playing the role of Baron Zemo from Civil War. Baron Zemo just got kind of thrown in at the last second, like you know, like kind of crazy.
But you had Avengers to you know, get you through that movie. You got a big Avengers face off. It goes whatever. But so I think, but for the purpose of the MCU this year and everything tying up, like this movie, the way it ends clearly leads right into the Thunderbolts. Because again, spoiler. At one point in this movie, and by the end of it, Thunderbolt Ross asks Sam Wilson to put together the Avengers. And then Sam by the end is like, we need the Avengers. So the whole point of this movie ends up being Sam is going to still be in Captain America, and he needs his own Avengers team. And the Thunderbolts is immediately following that, with the government running with the idea that they also need an Avengers team. And they're putting together this group of ragtag guys with Congressman Bucky Barnes leading the way. So they got political support here, which is the funniest. Anybody could get elected, which I know we know in 2025, but Bucky Barnes, who is literally a political terrorist, is now running for Congress in the U.S. and likely going to win. So,
we're gonna win overwhelmingly for sure. Just hysterical, but yeah. Again, it's like you kind of hit the nail on the head. For the purposes of MCU, this was a good movie, and it moved everything forward. I mean, I don't know how to feel about Thunderbolts. We'll kind of just go off into the bigger MCU now. It just feels like I get that this happened in real time and whenever it was, like the 1950s, 60s, or 70s when it happened in the comics, but it just feels like it's like Suicide Squad, clearly. Like, you know, like and even the way they're trying to.
Half of them are getting murked, no doubt.
Even like how they're trying to like portray it, like the trailer felt the same as the Suicide Squad trailer, with like the classic like bad guy song like playing in like the light like musical like, fun
even the names, like how they did that with the Suicide Squad trailer, where they showed every member of the squad, like, and they had the dude named Bob. They had the dude named Bob, which is the crazy part.
Dude, bro, Yelena, like Yelena is as much of a copy and paste for Harley Quinn to the Marvel Cinematic Universe as you can get, pretty much. It's crazy, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see again.
At the Deadshot role,
yeah,
it's all there. Yeah,
it is all there for sure. So I can't wait to see what giant. What did they fight in the Suicide Squad reboot? It was like a big squid.
Some big like squid, yeah, like Cyclops squid monster looking thing.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly.
I'm
excited. I'm more excited for this movie than I was for Brave New World. And so by the way Brave New World looked, I'm like, okay, like if we can build off of that and have a similar experience, and you have those two movies on the Earth scale heading into the multiversal chaos that will be Fantastic Four, I'm with it. I like where we're going here, and I truly think all the eggs are in the Fantastic Four basket at this point.
They are. So, did you get the Fantastivision thing when you saw it on your trailer too? I'm like, what the fuck? It was a whole second trailer just to pretend like Fantastic Four was about to start. Like, it was crazy.
Yep, it is. They're ready, full steam ahead with that, and obviously the X-Men, as we're talking about the Celestials and the big thing. Spoiler being adamantium that they're working for. Like, that's a clear nod. That's just a clear nod. Like, X-Men coming, Wolverine coming, all this good stuff. Like, don't worry, guys. Like, reinforcements are on the way.
Yeah, there were a lot of allusions. They were alluding to a lot of stuff. Yeah, we'll see, because if they could deliver, then it was a great restart. But if they can't follow through, it might as well just been a bump in the road. Again, I look at it like from a Captain America movie, like just moving forward in the MCU here. I think the reason I was a little harder on this one is because the Captain America movie should be good, and I think Thunderbolts I have no expectations for, so they have a good shot to kind of surpass them.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what Bob can do. Can't wait to see what Bob
can do. And honestly, Sebastian Stan leading a movie, I'm here for. I think he can do that. And that was the question for me coming into this, was can Anthony Mackie live up to it? And he did. He crushed it as the lead role in this. So
Sebastian Stan is probably a top actor in Hollywood when you look at the ability to completely dive into a role, for sure.
He's up for an Oscar, isn't he? For the Trump movie? Pretty sure.
I believe so. Should be interesting. Just some What's Trainwreck watching housekeeping. I don't know if Mike is going to catch up on it, but I am going to try and watch today the Drewski dating show, which I guess Don and Slick have already started watching. Could have been love. 500 views. Oh wait, no. When was that? Let's see. Let's see how many views it's at right now. Hold on. Let's see how many views. Could have been love. Episode 1, Meet the Bachelor, 1.1 million views. So,
oh my god,
dynamite and some WWE stuff as well. But we'll see. We are going to be catching up on that, watching it, and figuring out what's going on in the Drewski reality show. Thank you for following along. If you want to win lots more this weekend, or anytime when you're looking for entertainment, go to Batavia Downs, where it's the best array of games and hospitality. You can spend the weekend and have a great time in Batavia Downs. But for Micah and myself, this is not the show about next week's preview. This is not the show about last week's trailer. It's always about next week's episode.
Let's do it.